I still remember the exact sound of her laugh that afternoon. It was sharp, dismissive, the kind that cuts deeper than any argument ever could. My sister leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, watching me adjust the vest on my K9 partner Rex. "Honestly," she said, rolling her eyes, "you treat that thing like it's human. It's just a dog, Sarah. A big, expensive dog that eats more than half the people in this family." I forced a smile, but something inside me tightened. Rex sat perfectly still at my side, ears forward, eyes locked on me the way only a working dog can. He wasn't just a dog. He had been with me through night shifts, through empty houses that still smelled of fear, through moments when my own hands shook, and his steady presence was the only thing that kept me grounded. He had found missing children. He had located evidence that closed cases. He had saved lives. And yet to my sister, he was nothing more than an animal taking up space in my life. We grew up in the same house, shared the same parents, the same holidays, the same old family stories. I was the one who left home early, joined the force, trained with dogs that most people only see in movies. She stayed closer to our parents, handling the family rental properties and the day-to-day money side of things. For years, I thought that made us a good team. I protected people. She managed the practical side of life. I trusted her with almost everything. That trust felt solid right up until the day our mother's health began to fail. Medical bills stacked up. Decisions had to be made quickly. I was working long shifts, often out of town on call-outs. My sister stepped in, offering to handle the finances, the paperwork, the little things, so I could focus on work and on Mom. I was grateful. I told her so more than once. I even transferred a large portion of the emergency fund we had both contributed to over the years into an account she controlled, just to make everything smoother. Rex was with me the day I came home after a particularly hard shift and found my sister sitting at the kitchen table with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She asked about the dog first, like always. "Still dragging that animal everywhere?" she said lightly. I laughed it off. I always did. I had no idea that while I was out serving warrants and searching abandoned buildings, something far more personal was being taken from me. Looking back, the signs were there. Small withdrawals that didn't match the receipts. Vague answers about unexpected costs. A new phone. A sudden weekend trip she claimed was for work. I told myself I was being paranoid. Family doesn't steal from family. Sisters don't betray sisters. But the quiet unease never fully left. And the next time she called Rex just a dog, something in her voice sounded different. Almost relieved, almost free. I didn't know then that the money I believed was still sitting safely in that shared account was already gone. $40,000. Every cent of the emergency fund we had built together, and the person who took it was sitting across from me, smiling, while my partner waited patiently at my feet, ready for whatever came next. The truth didn't arrive all at once. It came in pieces, the way heartbreak usually does. First, the bank statement that didn't match what my sister had told me. Then the polite but firm email from the hospital billing department asking for clarification on payments that had never been made. Then the silence whenever I asked direct questions. She always had an answer ready, smooth and practiced. "It's being handled. Don't worry about it. You're under too much stress from work." I started staying up later than I should have, going over numbers on my laptop while Rex rested his head on my knee. The more I looked, the clearer the picture became. Transfers I hadn't authorized, cash withdrawals from ATMs near places she claimed she never visited. And finally, the moment that broke something inside me, a receipt for a luxury weekend getaway, charged the same week she told me our mother's medication costs had unexpectedly spiked. I confronted her on a quiet Sunday afternoon. The house was still. Mom was resting upstairs. Rex sat beside me on the living room floor, quiet but alert. I laid the papers on the coffee table between us and asked as calmly as I could where the money had gone. She didn't deny it right away. She just stared at me, then at the dog, and let out a short, bitter laugh. "You're really going to interrogate me over a few $1,000s while that animal gets better food than most people?" The words landed harder than any slap. I told her it wasn't a few thousand. It was 40,000. our mother's emergency fund, the money that was supposed to keep her comfortable and safe. Her expression shifted. The practiced calm cracked. She stood up, voice rising. She talked about how hard she had worked, how little appreciation she received, how I was always the hero with the dog while she handled the boring, thankless parts of life. She said the money was still in the family. She said I wouldn't understand because I spent more time with an animal than with actual people. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Just a deep, hollow disappointment. The person I had trusted with everything had looked at our mother's future and decided it was negotiable. And the entire time, she had mocked the one partner who had never once lied to me. That night I sat on the floor of my apartment with Rex's head in my lap, staring at the wall. I had spent years protecting strangers, yet I hadn't protected the people I loved most from someone inside our own home. The shame was almost heavier than the betrayal. I kept replaying every casual dismissal of Rex, every eye roll, every time she treated his presence like an inconvenience. She had never understood what he represented to me. Loyalty without conditions, honesty without words, a bond that didn't break under pressure. I didn't sleep much. By morning, I had made a decision. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't beg. I would simply find out the full truth, and I would do it the way I had been trained to do everything that mattered. Carefully, thoroughly, with the partner who had never once failed me. I invited her over under the pretense of sorting through some of Mom's old paperwork. She arrived confident, almost bored, still treating the whole situation like an inconvenience. Rex was already in the room, lying quietly near the doorway, as if he were just another piece of furniture. She barely glanced at him. I had placed a small, sealed evidence bag containing a sample of the original emergency fund cash in a drawer across the room earlier that morning, along with a few other ordinary household items. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that would look staged. I simply needed to know if the rest of the money was still somewhere she could reach. When the moment felt right, I gave Rex the quiet command he had heard 100 times in the field. Search, 90 seconds. That was all it took. He moved with the same focused intensity I had watched in dozens of real operations. Past the couch, past the coffee table, straight to the guest room closet she had used earlier to hang her jacket. He sat, alert, eyes fixed on a nondescript duffel bag tucked behind a stack of old coats, the same bag she had casually carried in with her. I opened it in front of her. Bundles of cash. Exactly the amount that had vanished from the account, still marked with the same bank straps, still smelling faintly of the vault it had come from. Her face drained a color. For the first time in months, she had nothing polished to say. I didn't raise my voice. I simply told her the money would be returned to the proper account before the end of the day, and that every transfer, every withdrawal, every lie was already documented. I also told her that from this moment forward she would have no further access to any shared family finances. She tried to argue. She tried to twist the story one last time, but the evidence was sitting between us, and Rex remained perfectly still at my side, watching her the way he watched every threat we had ever faced together. The following weeks were quiet and difficult. Trust once broken doesn't rebuild overnight. But the money was restored. Our mother's care continued without interruption, and the sister who had once called my partner just a dog never again dismissed the value of loyalty that doesn't need words to prove itself. I still work with Rex. He still sits at my feet when the world feels heavy, and every time someone underestimates him, I remember the afternoon a single quiet search command exposed a betrayal that words alone never could. Some people will always see only what is convenient, but the truth has a way of finding the light, especially when you have a partner who never looks away.